they will follow as they decide Rittenhouse's fate. It is important because that's what they have to use, and only that, to decide this case. And what was interesting in this particular case in Kenosha is that we saw the judge struggling to make sense of those instructions early on, and all of them really coming to a consensus in the courtroom. And by that I mean the judge, along with the attorneys in this case on both sides. And when they're struggling with it, it makes you wonder if the jurors back in their jury room were also struggling at some point.
Well, in fact, there was a delay in jury deliberations while the attorneys and the judges spoke about those jury instructions.
They got a verdict, y'all.
Is that one of the jurors asked last night, because the jurors are going home, they are not sequestered. When the jurors went home, one of the jurors wanted to bring those
jury instructions home.
An indication
that's crazy.
Jurors were struggling with those instructions.
They got a verdict, y'all. They have a verdict. I'm sleeping in, y'all. I'm still tired from being up all night with y'all. Thank y'all all for being in the late night live. I think we should do that every night that I'm on vacation here in Chicago. But let's see what happens.
Reaction to the verdict, and as you can see, there's quite a bit of law enforcement here, and you will be whisked out of here if there is any. So just be aware.
Oh wow! If he's guilty, he will be whipped up out of there. They say, "Wow, the verdict is in, y'all. Here come the jury." Let me flip my camera that way so y'all can see it better. But oh my God, I'm going to flip my camera. Hold on. I learned how to flip the camera. Oh my God. And I have so much to talk about, you guys. I'm going to do another live. It's regarding Jennifer Bonjean. So make sure y'all stay tuned and like, share, subscribe.
Would you come down, please? Yes. Thank you.
Oh, they covered up. Oh my God. There we go. Okay. Let me get back in the chat with y'all so I can see. Ugh. They got a verdict, y'all. Now I can do two things at one time. Yay. Okay. This is what I've been waiting on. That young Dolph was assaulted. That was messed up. The way to go out. Yes. Prayers for young Dolph family, man.
A team of reporters on the scene.
Man, I wish I was in Kenosha right now, but I kind of don't want to be because they is a prejudiced ass state. And I don't know how it's about to go down. Put y'all thoughts in here. What you guys think? You think he gonna be found guilty? Do you think they gonna on all charges? What are your thoughts, you guys? I really wanted to hear from y'all in the chat. I'm hoping as well, Mara, that he is guilty. Zola says self-defense. Zola says I think he will walk not guilty. I'm not sure.
He went out during protests
because he shouldn't have been there, in my opinion.
Really on both sides of the aisle here.
Would you give your journal, please?
Alyssa says guilty. Ms. Duncan says guilty. Yeah.
One verdict and one verdict only.
Uh-oh.
Would you hand all the paperwork to the bailiff, please?
Uh-oh. I mean, they waited till today. Somebody said they was going to come back today on Friday with this verdict. So, about to open it up. Lord have mercy. He best to get found guilty. I mean, you killed two people at the age of 17 and injured another one, all because you put yourself in harm's way. You walked in a situation, was a riot with an AR-15, and you was brandishing that gun. You was intimidating them people, and then when you killed one man, they tried to stop him, and you killed another, all because you couldn't handle them snatching your gun. But he had that damn slingshot. Them tears was fake as hell. He had that sling around him. Look, you gonna close the door, baby? I was too loud. I'm sorry, Mama. Not guilty.
As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis.
Not.
We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty.
Not guilty.
As to the
Wow.
unknown male, We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Not guilty. Lord, he walking on all charges.
Anthony Huber. We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
Now he walking away, y'all.
To the fifth count of the information.
Not guilty. Look, he crying again. You said it, Zola. Wow. That little murderer going home. Wow. Y'all saw it here. Not guilty. What? It's a cold day in hell today, baby. That is dirty. 2 people lost their life at the hand of this reckless young man. And now, wow. Wow. A wonderful jury to work with. They was forced to give that boy that case. Not guilty.
6 over here who had a very difficult job of.
Had that been a black man, he would have been found guilty, guilty, guilty. White privilege, man.
I couldn't have asked for a better jury to work with.
Wow. Look at him, not guilty. Well, they paid the verdict off. They bailed him out a $2 million bond. That right there was enough.
The attentiveness and the cooperation that you gave to us.
I know one thing for sure and 2 for certain. He better not do another crime. That's dirty, y'all. Let me get my camera back going. Wow.
You're never under any obligation to discuss
This
aspect of this case.
This is the world we live in, y'all. Ooh, Zola, you said it. Wow. I am in total shock, y'all. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. What? Back, yes, we always on Free R. Kelly. That's all we yelling over here. But I'm still gonna be covering other cases that I am interested in. Ain't never gonna get off of R. Kelly. But Lord have mercy. Are you near serious? I'm surprised because I really listened to the trial and I just couldn't imagine. This boy used to walk right out that front door right now on their asses. Woo wee! How the heck is he not guilty? This country going to hell in a hand basket. I knew it. You right, Hollywood Next White. I'm telling you. What? I wonder what the pandemonium is looking like outside. I want to wait till they show some live coverage. Yep, another George Zimmerman. Wow. But y'all find Kel's guilty on some bullshit setup. But then this is crazy as hell.
As I say, you're welcome to discuss the case as little or as much as you want.
What? They took all this time just to come back today with it. They wanted to do it Friday, because the weekend and shit. This is crazy. Hold on, y'all. This is fucking beyond crazy.
It would be my pleasure to work with you.
Look. The boy walked, I don't know if he walked out the door or if he hugging the judge. Oh. Kyle just walked right out the door, y'all. They had the evidence, the video evidence. I mean, they wow. I want to hear the press conference. Look, he shook his hand. He shook his partner's hand. Definitely is ridiculous. Definitely carrying white privilege, man. Shaking my head with you. Lord have mercy. So I guess we better all start doing what he did.
The final verdict reading in the Kyle Rittenhouse
Damn.
trial. Not guilty on all 5 counts.
Not guilty.
Kyle Rittenhouse, age 18, from Antioch, Illinois, has been acquitted of the charges against
others than Ahmad will not guilty too. Wow. And they rest their case. That's crazy. The jury got the case yesterday, or they're getting it today. And then they're going to go the weekend. And then next week is going to be another verdict coming in through Ahmad. I don't see how this is type of world we living in.
Let's take a listen.
And look at the prosecutor. Let me flip my camera so y'all can see this. Because this is just crazy to me. I ain't going to lie. I am shocked. I can't sit here and say I'm not, because I am.
judge repeated it, and he looked as if he were going to cry, but held back those tears. Then got up and walked out of that.
He got the hell out of there as fast as he was in there.
He was facing up to 60 years in prison for some of the more serious charges of homicide.
I can't believe they found him not guilty.
A young man walking out the door freely today. We'll see what the town and city of Kenosha.
I want to see how Kenosha's going to respond. Honestly,
it has been very tense outside of the courthouse, not just in the last couple.
Not
of days,
guilty.
but the whole trial. And
wow, and they're going to continue to kill us. Right, he was not guilty. Oh my God, this was a planned effort from the jump. His mom knew he would get off reasons, so she drove him to Kenosha. Only in America where underage terrorists, white supremacists wannabe Dylan Roof Rittenhouse could be found not guilty for crossing state line, committing murder, white privileges in play. That judge is a horrible piece of trash. Two different justice systems. Yes, there are. There's one for them and there's one for us.
One of the things that struck me when we listened to the judge reading the counts and the verdicts, he was so calm.
He was very calm.
Which he told them they must be, that there could be no outbreak in this case.
Wow. I'm just wow.
Go outside and we will
that stand with blacks.
Woo. Inside the courtroom, but then outside.
Yes, see some and NBC took pictures of juries in a mob case and judge said he will get it. Take he no longer want NBC in his court ever. Wow. There is about to be a massive riot in Kenosha. So is he going to go back out there again with another AR-15 again? Now he's 18. Mind you, he's 18 years old now. So he's been out there once. Now look at Kenosha. Here it goes.
You're talking about the reaction here in Kenosha.
Here's the reaction. This is what I wanted to see. This is definitely bullshit. You can kill someone and get away, but got killed in prison facing years for having sex with willing people. Justice system is effed up. Welcome to the new America.
Upset with Kyle Rittenhouse about what happened, and both sides.
Okay, let me get. You gotta go, dude. Thumb. You tripping, dude. Not over here. Not over here. You won't. Who? He's nobody because I just got him up out of here. Did y'all hear what Judge say? No matter outcome on Kyle's case. Yep. No, there will be another shooter. Yeah. I think all across, I think across the country is about to be a massive riot all over the country. Wow. That's definitely unprecedented. That's dirty.
We're going to continue to fight.
That's dirty.
Be peaceful, and we're going to continue to use our First Amendment right.
Wow.
Speech and social justice. Let freedom ring.
Wow. I'm surprised too. I ain't gonna lie. It is an insult. It is.
All of the things that were done
yes.
to give this defendant an advantage.
Yep.
$2 million
$2 million. Yep.
People like the McCluskeys from St. Louis who practice the same behavior by pulling their weapon for no reason are peaceful protesters. This is disturbing at best.
This is very disturbing.
At the highest level.
Justin, how surprised were you when the verdict came back? What were you expecting?
Yeah, I got him out of here, young black.
Because in this city, my nephew was shot 7 times in the back, and no charges were ever leveled. You have to understand, from day one, the judge had his hand on the scale. He didn't allow pictures. He didn't allow videotapes saying. He didn't allow. He was doing everything he could to allow this young man.
$2 million defense.
It put blinds over the eyes of the judge.
They paid it off.
Maybe because he did that, they didn't see the evidence how they could have seen it. They said, I think if you hear a young man say, I can't wait to shoot somebody 30 or 40 days, and 40, 30 days later, you murder 2 people with that exact same weapon you said you'd have? How can you be mad?
Right.
This young man drinks, eats, and sleeps the rhetoric of Proud Boys, the Ku Klux Klan, and skinheads talk about hurting African Americans and minorities all the time. He merely acted it out. And
Yep.
what came to his rescue? This racist ass government,
Yep.
the police, and everything that was involved in this case.
Speak.
It did not ringtones playing from Trump. The judge saying he doesn't like rioters, he calls them rioters. There's a big difference.
Wow.
So
You can see people
Wow.
very unhappy
Very
with this verdict
unhappy.
and not afraid to talk about it. There are people on both sides there. We have reporters
Damn.
there who will be covering this side of it. But we want to really dissect the
Which
legal
message, you
angle of
guys?
this.
I'm looking
And
in
former
here.
Prosecutor Joe Roddy
Y'all
is
see
on the phone
anything?
with us
Get
right
them
now,
out of
working
here.
for
We don't
County
want that
State's Attorney's
negativity
Office
over
for
here.
years. And Joe, we spoke several days ago, and you said the
Wow.
prosecution had a tough case
It-
here.
it-
The defense saying that Kyle Rittenhouse shot in self-defense. Clearly, the jurors agreed. Your reaction?
Well, it was a difficult case for the state. In two of the instances, specifically with Mr. Grosskreutz, he was in possession of a gun at the time.
This is a miscarriage. It definitely is a miscarriage of justice. Another murderer walks free. This time he is underage. White well, he's 18 now.
I had struck him with a skateboard at the time that he shot and killed him. With Mr. with Mr. Rosenbaum, there was the situation in which there had been prior threats. He was running at him.
It wasn't prior threats. There's no proof of the prior threats. He sure had that T-shirt on that said "free as fuck."
So those were difficult facts for the state to overcome.
Leslie, if you see any infiltrators,
but
get
the
them
fact
out.
That the state harped upon and looked at it was that the provocation was created by Mr. Rittenhouse, who had an AR-15 with him and had possibly made certain threats to people and had pointed the weapon at him. The jury, obviously, we hope, considered all that evidence.
They blame the dead people because they can speak.
Very difficult.
He has some mental issues, though. Something is really wrong with this kid. I'm sorry. Not sorry.
The state had not met their burden.
Look, his fake ass wasn't even crying tears. He was trying his hardest to get some tears to come out, and he
Joe, let's
couldn't.
talk about the self-defense approach. One law professor in our area stated that the self-defense provisions in Wisconsin.
They definitely trying to start a war amongst the people.
What are your thoughts?
Don't go
about
out there, nobody.
As it relates
Don't
to
go
the
out
state of
there.
Wisconsin, say, versus the
Stay
state of
away
Illinois.
from these supremacists.
Well, it is difficult and a bit to be successful on a self-defense claim.
Look at
You
the
are
people
the
that are
person who
supporting his
brings
ass.
A military rifle into a situation.
This is
that was vulnerable to
W.S.
begin
Ray
with, and that
Soldiers,
had,
Kyle Rittenhouse, got
contact
that
with
$2 million
self-defense
bond.
people. So
He was
it
gonna
is
walk
different
free thanks
from
to that Silver
many
Spoon
self-defense
actor,
cases.
right?
And to be situations where there's a
This is
hand-to-hand
wrong.
fight or something of that nature. It's not typical situations where it's considered a people have called them mutual combat or shootouts in which
And a lot of
are
people
armed
said
with
he was
weapons.
gonna walk
You
too.
do not see self-defense being a successful defense.
I didn't see it.
privilege, as the defense attorneys called it.
Yeah.
I do agree that the Wisconsin self-defense is much more broad and favorable for the defense as opposed to the Illinois self-defense law.
Joe, what does
Wow.
it mean then for cases moving forward? We're talking, your experience is here in Cook County, and I'm interested to hear your thoughts based on your experience about what that means for crowded spaces, protests in the future, the ability to
Yes.
carry a long gun into a crowded situation.
That's not cool.
Does this complicate things in the law enforcement
Look how he's
world?
sitting with the judge taking pictures.
Almost definitely. I can only speak to
He's
my
taking pictures
experience
with the
as a prosecutor in
judge.
Illinois.
Do y'all
I
see this?
don't recall personally or even professionally hearing of any cases in which self-defense was a viable defense when the defendant initiated or is in possession of a weapon that started the incident. And again, that is difficult because in Illinois, we're not allowed to go out and carry weapons on the streets without a specific concealed carry. But certainly, you're not allowed when you're 17 years old to have an AR-15 walking the street.
Exactly.
In a
17.
very volatile situation. This is the facts that were in front of the jury were listened to by the jury, and the law was applied. And this is a singular case.
Wow.
And I
I'm
think we have to
just
respect the decision of the jury.
look at him.
I think societally it creates a larger issue that
They took pictures with the
we
judge.
hope that people
Like
will
this
not
is some
feel
type of
that if there's situations
you know,
where they
I'm
don't
just
think
like
law enforcement or the government is doing the right job, that they can put a gun on themselves and go out and basically do the job that law enforcement is sworn to do and paid to do. I think that's a very concerning societal issue that we're going to face.
Exactly.
So, Joe, I want to really delve into the legal.
These two men lost their lives
because people have been very critical about exactly what
Look
you
at
said.
him.
He
Shot his arm
he
off.
He went there when he really didn't, in essence, have any right to be there.
He didn't have no right to be there.
Recklessly endangering
and that's the
safety.
video they should have used. He wasn't pointing that gun at him. His hand died when he got shot.
While not finding him guilty of the homicide. But explain how legally they are related when it came to the self-defense.
Well, under my understanding in this case in Wisconsin law, there was no self-defense for any of
they
the
went through the back door.
Be it the reckless homicide or for the reckless.
That's what I'm saying, Mara. Who takes pictures with the judge?
The judge's ruling on that and the instructions in Wisconsin is that deals with intentional self-defense would only be applicable to intentional acts, and therefore you would have that.
They paid his way out of there. Them people came together for him. Why people can't come together for the good of R. Kelly and spend money for him to have the proper defense that he needed? This is a dirty world, man. Wow.
And out of the norm behavior-wise that it puts someone in fear of death or great bodily harm. So they are different states of mind and different levels of activity.
This is very sad. And you're right, Young Black.
Yet
it was definitely set up this way.
Particular charges referred back to and said in the charge that they were connected to each of the people.
Then the judge dropped count 6
if you say
about the gun
charge and it was self-defense, the reckless endangerment.
You're right, Ladybug. Who knows? They might as well release Derek Chauvin for real.
Therefore, he's not guilty. Therefore, as it trickles down to these reckless endangerment charges, do they have to find him not guilty as well?
They don't have to, no. And again, remember, each count was associated with a specific victim.
Right.
You had the intentional homicide.
He's very happy. The judge was playing Donald Trump's theme song to the inauguration on his cell phone. When his phone rang, it played the inauguration song.
In the first shooting, you had the.
I'm not surprised. Look at the country we live in. Reminds me of Charlottesville, Virginia, because our people just can't work together. Just saying. The judge got paid very well. Look at him. He's taking pictures with them.
It could have been absolutely consistent if the jury came back not guilty on any of the attempted homicide or the actual homicide charges.
He should have been found
and
guilty.
They still could have found him guilty of the reckless endangerment.
The reckless endangerment.
I don't think you can't paint it with such a broad brush to say, well, if it's self-defense on one, then it's not guilty on everything.
Exactly.
And I'm hopeful, and we have to be hopeful that the jury considered all of those aspects of it and looked at each of the
look at him. He wanted to be a cop. He had the privilege. He wanted to be a medic. He wanted to be a fireman. He wanted to play everything. Look at his shirt, free as fuck.
Each individual victim associated with that charge, we hope that they got the due consideration that they were deserving.
Joe, as a former prosecutor,
level up. I'm tired too, bro. I don't even want to get out the bed. How about that?
This is today, right? This is a difficult moment when these prosecutors have had a year to put this case on. And the acquittal is something they are going to long live with. What are the kind of questions that you would be asking yourself if this was your case? What did this prosecution team do right at any point? And what did they do wrong?
Was they
it, like you said, just a really tough case for them?
I don't know how tough it was.
Could be another question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, he can't even be recharged. This is.
Jumped out to be that I was surprised.
It is what it is.
Was a charge for aggravated theft.
Level up. You see me? I'm still in the bed. I am not moving.
Gross crowd.
Eyes are tired.
That count was only an attempt, first-degree murder, and typically.
The judge is a Klansman. This was a fixed courtroom. Rittenhouse should have been brought up on civil rights violation, aggravated assault, and felony battery with a deadly weapon. I hope the family sue him in civil court. Man, what's up, TYO? I see you, my brother.
Murder.
Damn, I'm just
charging aggravated battery.
Aggravated battery.
Again,
you just said that.
If the jury, this was self-defense across the board as it related to all of the alleged intentional acts, then they would have found not guilty on that anyway.
John,
Yep.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I was going to say,
Look.
stay with us because Paul
Oh,
Lisnick is also
let me
here
show
on
y'all.
the desk, and I know he wants to kind of weigh in on some of the things
Look.
that you're talking about. And as you discuss this idea of juries, you have worked with jury consultants on this,
Look at this.
and I know you have
They
some
starting to
insight.
come out.
So yeah,
I think tonight is going to be
From
heavy.
my perspective, everything Joe says, of course, is absolutely right from the legal
I
perspective.
think
And as I'm
Kenosha
listening, I'm
is
taking part of my
on
background
high
as I
alert,
was a jury
y'all.
consultant for many years. My partner was Joellen Demetrius, who was the jury consultant for Kyle Rittenhouse. We worked together in the O.J. Simpson case, and O.J.
Wow.
Simpson did very well.
And she's been sitting next to
She's been- yes,
Kyle's
with-
mother for much of the case.
Absolutely,
Yes.
and that's what Joellen does. So here's the bottom line I think that I want to put in and let it complement what Joe is saying, which is in the scope of all this, because people throughout the country are going to have their reactions based on their points of view.
Sure,
Right?
their life's experiences, right?
No question. And that's Joellen's job. So we didn't seem to learn until later on in this trial that Joellen was involved. But what she did was...
I know, Mara. I wasn't even going to come on until later, but I was watching the news and I saw the breaking news come up. I said, let me get on my live so I can at least report this, because I was really following this case as well as Ahmaud Arbery. And Lord have mercy. Zola, you predicted this, girl. Your discernment was on this one. Honestly, mine was off. I don't know if it's because I'm just hecka tired, but I just really felt that this young dude should have been found guilty because he shouldn't have been there. He came in there from not even living there, crossed state line to be there with the assault rifle. He was a minor. He was.
And even if you
I got a headache, y'all. This is too much. His mother should have been charged.
Well into their 20s. Do you think that that may have had something to do with it? He cried on the stand.
He didn't cry them crocodile tears.
And cried when that verdict was read as well. He was quite emotional.
Well, crying when the verdict was read made a lot of sense, right?
Yes, it
Because that's
does.
great relief. During the trial, look, there were people, again, politically leaning one way or the other who thought the crime was fake.
The crime was most definitely fake, in my
The
opinion.
right one, because it doesn't matter what anybody thinks.
Get that background light out of our
that those jurors and certainly perhaps the moms and dads who were on there impacted by seeing this young man present the trauma that he went through. One other point I have to make.
Who was that lady that was sitting next to him during the trial?
This notion of primacy and recency. We remember what we hear first. We remember what we hear last.
Sure.
And I would be curious for Joe to chime in on this, but my sense was the prosecution did an excellent job in their closing argument.
Yeah, the closing argument was good.
They did not do through the course of their evidence. And I think a lot of people, I certainly looked at that closing argument and said, had this been the case they laid out over the last 2 weeks, maybe things would be different today. But it wasn't.
This should have been a federal government case, especially because it was a gun involved. I'm surprised the feds didn't pick it up. And the judge, he just laughing all and cracking up, and this is funny and stuff. And he wouldn't let some of the evidence in. I told you he was giving me that Ann Donnelly vibe. This worked all in that young dude's favor. It's a dirty game. This should have been a federal government case. This is gross negligence. The mother was supposed to be on trial with him. Where was the FBI exactly? Next, I've been watching it. My kids say, "Ma, how can you watch it so long?" Was it too? Because I have 3 grown grandsons, right?
Closing arguments was in the initial.
It was a legal gun. It was a legal gun, but it wasn't legally his to obtain at the age of 17. He had to be of age to carry that gun. And the fact that he went over there because he knew he went in that riot situation because he felt like he was playing Call of Duty. That's how I looked at it. He played video games and he thinking that, okay, let me show y'all. Oh, well, the camera froze. Oh, there we go. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure out how to get y'all. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my God, who is they trying to question?
So that you've met your burden under those instructions.
Wow.
Joe, part of my
Look,
background is studying jury.
Is that Kyle?
Not only are you absolutely right about that, but one of the things I think that has to be pointed out.
Oh, that's the
and people don't understand them.
Yes.
The
legal team.
When we tested over time, tried to modify them, make them understandable, they become ambiguous. So there is no way to do. That's why the hours complex is there, because otherwise you have a lawyer going, wait a minute, that's unclear, and you end up with just this mishmash. And Joe was right. Lawyers need to.
So you gentlemen are saying that the prosecutor did a great job on the closing arguments. I have to ask the question about pointing the gun toward the jury, because I would have been so scared.
I would have been petrified too. I ain't gonna lie.
Talked about the
I'll point
Hollywood,
no gun
they
in.
thought there was no weapons inside it, and someone gets killed on the set of Rust. I would have, in that moment, might have been so frightened that I would think, I can see how he would have been frightened that night.
And that's probably where they messed up at.
Was at risk and had to shoot back.
So I agree. And there's more.
You act like he isn't legally allowed to be there. He could be there if he want to be there, but there was a curfew put in place, and he should not have been there.
But the victims, the dead,
from this, well, we can't. They couldn't.
Right. So it might have been
AR-15 is an illegal automatic assault weapon that is not a legal gun.
Joe, what are your thoughts on that? I'm going to interrupt Paul right there about pulling out a long gun and showing it to the jury in such a way.
I think that's where the prosecutor dropped the ball.
Watching the fallout from the movie set that involved Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, and here you are pointing this doggone gun.
Catastrophic outcome.
That was.
And then this plays out on court TV.
Yeah, he was tripping for that.
My experience as a prosecutor.
Look at them, how they got it up there. They throwing up the signs. Look, the Illuminati's. You see they got the picture of Kyle?
At any member of the jury, it never would be pointed at anyone in the room. I always handled firearms in front of a jury incredibly carefully, so that not only
she took him there. She drove him there.
Guns,
the Republicans under Trump set the tone for the judges. It's sad. We watched how they played us when they wouldn't let President Obama name judges to the Supreme Court. Right.
So I do not think that it was a wise move to point an AR-15.
I don't think that was wise either.
I think he could have handled it here, and either had someone from law enforcement hold on to the weapon and point it into the ground or point it to a wall when he used it as a demonstrative aid. I don't think that was a smart thing to do. Do I think it changed the verdict? I don't at all.
It didn't change the verdict.
Joe, I want to interrupt you just for a moment. We're looking at live pictures now outside the courthouse, and we believe that is Kyle Rittenhouse's mother, who may be walking out. Well, we're not sure who we're following. I take it back. There were also, as we know, people that were shot last summer, August of 2020. These could be family members who are also now trying to digest this verdict, one that did not play in your favor.
Thanks for the news. Tell everybody at work, Mara, salute to all my nurses. And you are all welcome. And thank you guys so much for tuning in and following me. I appreciate the support.
The prosecutor, but then I would end up where Joe does, which was to say, if it was
Lane Maxwell, okay, I'll check it out.
So the other option is he really didn't realize what he was doing. But these are experienced prosecutors. He had to.
You're right, naive Image. You're right, Imogene. It's just
3 days.
Once they went into the second day, I kind of did figure, the longer they go, it shows that it will be not guilty. And by them deliberating for 4 days, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. So yes, shame on me, but I am surprised because,
the jury did not go home. So we didn't have typical situations where juries were out for 2, 3, 4 days.
Yeah.
When they were sequestered.
Yeah.
They came back to court, and typically,
if they would have been sequestered, it could have possibly been something different. But who knows? I mean, at this point, it is what it is. It's just cray to me. I ain't gonna lie.
The jury to come back quickly. If they come back quickly, that's in your favor.
Yeah.
If you're a defense attorney, the longer you can keep them out, the better.
Yeah.
Why is that? Well, in certain situations, it might say that you have 1, 2, 3 jurors maybe forming a bit of a block in which they're not ready to sign on to a guilty verdict. Or you might just have one of them who's really doesn't think you've met your burden or just doesn't believe in convicting the defendant. So you would be concerned with what you had, whether or not it might be 1 juror or 2 juries. But again, in this situation, I would say that this is a very complicated instructions case.
Okay, I'll check it out.
You hope that the jury really spent the time in going through the various charges, instructions.
By the outcome of this case, the system was created to keep Black people in check. What we saw here was white people on code. You're right. You guys are so right. Yes, it's crazy. He was driven there with the intent to do exactly what he did, and I'm sure his plan was to always claim self-defense.
They might reduce a charge to a lesser offense.
Look at
in
that.
exchange for the
They
defense
got his
pleading guilty.
sign throwing it up.
I don't think
Illuminati.
that was
Look.
the situation here. I certainly don't think that the defense attorneys would have engaged in that or even gone down that road of possibly negotiating a plea to a lesser charge. They were pretty firm and pretty strong that this was a good self-defense case. They had good facts to back
This
it
is
up.
crazy all around
They
the damn
got some
board.
help in pretrial rulings by the judge, and they trusted their gut, and in the end, they were right. They got not guilty.
Joe,
And we should, oh, I'm sorry,
we'll finish this discussion, but I wanted to read the statement
Go right ahead.
we just got from Karen Bloom and John Huber. This is in response, of course, to the Rittenhouse verdict. They say
He was found not
and
guilty.
angry that Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted in his criminal trial for the murder of our son, Anthony Huber. There was no justice today for Anthony or for Mr. Rittenhouse's other victims, Joseph Rosenbaum and Judge. We did attend the trial. We could not bear to sit in room and repeatedly watch videos of our son's murder.
Yeah.
And because we have been subjected to many hurtful
He
and
was
nasty
found not
comments
guilty,
in the past
Tanya.
year, but we watched this trial closely, hoping it would bring us closure.
Mm.
So it's tough. I mean, it is a really
That was
tough
from
case.
the
I mean, you had
victim.
Kyle Rittenhouse's mom, who was there thinking about her son, and you have this family who lost their son. It's difficult.
If I can, let me chime in on the length of jury deliberations because it relates
let's
to
get
this.
back to that discussion.
First of all, I think there is a rule of thumb that a lot of lawyers have, whatever, which is jurors will be out for a day for every week they're in trial. Just a rule of thumb. So here, I actually told some folks in the newsroom as today approached, I said this on Wednesday, was they will be back before end of day Friday because they generally don't take it home for the weekend, and they will be back after lunch because jurors want lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they do. And so here, of course, we had the
That's
they
crazy.
ordered sandwiches, and I went, it's
They
tough.
wanted to
And
eat
so
the
when
last meal
when
before
he's right.
they came back with the
Typically,
verdict. Got their free lunch, and then they came back with a not guilty verdict. He was acquitted of all charges. So he was found not guilty.
3.5 hours, so it was expected this could be a conviction. But Joel Demetrius picking that jury, of course, he was acquitted on those charges.
We should mention viewers
Wow.
at home are watching.
Look at the little young
crowds
girl
gathered
that's out
outside
there.
of the courthouse, and just outside of
Wow.
that grouping is our Julian Cruz, who's going to give us the latest on the ground from Kenosha. Julian.
I can't even imagine what them families is feeling like. It's slowly unraveling. You said you knew he would walk free. Wow. There goes some people being interviewed.
On Facebook, they said, "What's the mood?" I can only say that the crowd is mostly elated, and there's people are talking about the Second Amendment and the defense there. I'm happy to see that the First Amendment was, and constitutional protections are intact. And also, I'd like to say that it's over with an acquittal on all charges. There wasn't a dismissal. It wasn't a mistrial. It was an acquittal, so it's over. There's no, with double jeopardy, there's no retrying him and there's no dragging it out. That's the greatest part.
Let me ask you, the prosecution obviously was arguing about Kyle Rittenhouse's action. You, the defense argued that this was a self-education.
This is sickening. I ain't gonna lie. I would be sick. If that was my family member, I would be so sick, y'all. Can we all say corrupt system? Yes, corrupt system. Yep. Not guilty. Exactly, Felicia Tucker. Why is Kells in jail? That's crazy. Already who, what, and who is behind. Yep. I'm not surprised Hollywood next. This is what America was built on. This is a miscarriage of justice, United States of America. Wow, we really living in a world that's just not fair. Some rich guy paid for Kyle, his lawyer. Yep, in St. Louis, they paid for him. Did you guys watch the entire trial start to finish and see every bit of the evidence of defense? And it should have been a mistrial because of the dirty tricks the DA. Well, I don't think it was self-defense, and yes, I did watch it. But I don't feel it was self-defense. But I do see some of what the DA did do and how he did piss off the. Look at this idiot coming here talking about black people. That's just sickening. I mean, the racism is real, y'all. Racism is real. It's alive and it hasn't went anywhere. I'm not even gonna block him. Look at this idiot. Look at that. Sad. Look at him. Just sad.
Julian, when we talk about the mood there
yep.
in Kenosha, we saw a number of people who
I got them out of here.
Against the verdict, and I know
wow, they mad because we're reporting it, but this is what they wanted. They wanted him to be found not guilty.
Is that the mood? I mean, I'm just seeing a little microcosm of this. You know, you have a better vantage point.
I blocked them. Is there no moderators in here? Tracy, you good. Tracy, you good. Treese is good. Tracy 01 is good. Don't block Treese. If Treese gets blocked, I will unblock Treese. Don't mess with Treese. Okay. Yeah, don't bother Treese. Treese 01 is straight over here. And we're not gonna block Aster that says, you know, he feels he's innocent. That's his freedom of right to say. We're just gonna block anybody that's being disrespectful and saying things towards you know, our people. We're not gonna block anybody that wants to speak their opinion. No, I know Treese. Treese, you straight. You straight, Treese. You good, boo. Because they looking for somebody that's reporting, and here I am reporting it, so they just want to come over here and troll us. I don't know what Hunt Jews is talking about. All gas them to wait. He said death to all gas them. Man, this is dirty. Don't block anybody unless they put in those evil comments that we saw, or if their names is disrespectful. If they have a disrespectful names and it's targeting us African Americans and trying to provoke us and be the provocateurs, then we block them. But everybody has the freedom to come and voice their opinion. We're not gonna block them. I want to hear what they got to say. Let them speak. Let them show their ignorance. Because we know them as the real niggers. You already know I be waiting. Good morning, Jamar, and shout out to you. Thank you, my brother. I believe I got that from you yesterday, so God bless you. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. We saw fights breaking out. They can come in here and troll us. That's fine. We welcome all trolls. What they say, any publicity is good publicity. So we reporting on one of theirs, and they don't like it. So I wish I was there. You know, I would be showing everything. I would be all in the front of that line. They stuck together, unlike you, right, T-Rob? They did. And that's something that is hard for us to do, and I don't understand why. To join them, and what kind of response that I am so tired, you guys. I just ate some candy so I can bring my sugar up, so I can, you know what I'm saying? I was up with y'all all night. Somebody said I skin AKIK. Let the trolls troll, y'all. Let the trolls troll. Don't block Junior, Baca. Don't block none of them. Like I said, if they names ain't disrespectful and they not saying nothing that's disrespectful towards us, let's just get a laugh on. I want to laugh today because we've been going through so much in our own fight for justice to the point where just let them do what they feel they need to do.
I want to read part of the statement.
Oh my God.
That we didn't get to before. It says today's verdict means there is no accountability for the person who murdered our son.
No accountability.
It's an unacceptable message that armed civilians can show up in any town, incite violence, and then use the danger they have created.
They created
justify
shooting
in the street.
Facts. And so touch on that just a little bit too. Your thoughts, Paul?
Again, keep in mind. Let's harken back to Trayvon Martin, where you had a very similar situation, this call of self-defense, and the defendant there found
God is exposing the legal system with all of these various cases. He is waking people up to all the corruption. Yes, he is. I agree.
That family, Dina, is one that I would sort of say, okay, let's monitor this. They may be right. Let's monitor this and see what happens in this.
That's right, Zola. Let them know.
it seems to be building in some of these cases that a claim of self-defense is often the way to lead to a not guilty verdict. And that's what we're seeing here. In her case, not comparing those.
Oh my God.
Oh, I want to ask you.
By the way.
I want to ask you if this case had played out in a different state, other than Wisconsin.
Corruption has been exposed. Kyle case has opened its system. Yes, he was being chased though. We have this all on video. This case was no, it was not. It was not self-defense. He put himself in that situation by brandishing that gun. We don't know what he did to provoke Joseph. We don't know what that dude did, but whatever he did to provoke Joseph, Joseph didn't have a weapon. Joseph threw his bag at him and didn't even hit him. Joseph wasn't trying to snatch that gun. Joseph wanted to hand fight him. He went in there with his muscles, not no weapon. Kyle was a punk and he was scary, and he went in there with a gun and he did just what he wanted to do, was play Kyle of Duty. I call it Kyle of Duty because that's what he went to do. He created this situation, put himself in harm's way, and knew he had a gun to defend himself, and he got away with double murder. Unbelievable.
Type of a situation, I don't think you would have a 17-year-old from Wisconsin
he was reckless.
The border and coming into downtown Chicago with an AR-15 and being able to walk and run through the streets without having some type of contact with law enforcement.
And his mama took him.
They questioned and hopefully seized that gun from him.
A lot of divergent.
They should have took that gun. He had no business with that gun.
Has been covering some of the reaction.
He didn't get attacked. He was doing the attack. He was the provocateur.
In the Kyle Rittenhouse case,
he provoked all the whole situations.
It's certainly been an emotional week for the people who decided to come in front of the Kenosha County Courthouse. Even before the verdict came down, there were fights breaking out between Rittenhouse supporters as well as Black
Mr. C.
Lives Matter.
Mr. C, you funny. It's legal in the state to possess an AR. It is, but not at the age of 17. Kyle shouldn't have been there.
This verdict, I spoke with Justin Blake, who I spoke with earlier this week. He told me that this is what he heard. This just reminds him of what happened with his nephew Jacob. The fact that there were no have written on all charges. He says right now today. That
don't block Makalimus, whatever his name is. Don't block nobody, y'all. He's not being disrespectful. He's just exercising his First Amendment. 17-year-old playing real life Call of Duty and got away with it. Exactly, Trevor. Exactly.
As the night and the day continues. And also, in addition to that, there were family members who left the courtroom.
The jury went off that video of the protesters chasing him. They asked to review it 3 times on Monday of this week. Yes, his mother took him there. She did.
To try to see their reaction to the verdict. They did not want to speak. They were clearly upset, and they offered nothing. They just went straight to their cars and left. What you're seeing right now is a difference of opinion.
The dirty game, baby. Found not guilty on all charges.
Right now. So
I told you they're waiting on the Grand Wizard.
You said it.
They're waiting on the Grand Wizard to get okay. Because the judge shows from day one, okay, well, here's what's happening. We're going to put second degree on there regardless.
Yeah, they took that gun charge off.
I know.
Count 6 came off, and then they only had 5 to deliberate on.
We're going to stay out here and continue to follow.
The jury went, yep. That is sound crazy. The robber get life in prison. Sylvester is crazy. It just doesn't make sense. This is ridiculous. It is.
Attorneys anytime now here after the
that's how it's working now.
What we want to do is for viewers who are just tuning in to this big
now,
news.
Where's the feds to pick this case up? Because the boy had a
AR-15.
Exactly.
And he was underage.
Where's the feds?
The feds should have picked this case, and they should have. But they can't now, right? Because
same way they did Al-Qaeda. The state, fed.
But I'm saying, can the feds pick it up still?
This state, just like with R. Kelly, with the case coming up, it was did at state level. He got found not guilty on.
True.
And the feds picked it up. Now the feds can pick this here up. The feds can pick this up just off the assault rifle itself.
That's what I'm saying. He was mishandled. That's crazy.
Like they've been doing.
He had no business down.
Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the 4th count of the information, Anthony Huber, we the jury find the defendant Kyle Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count
Look
of
out.
the information, Gage Gross Price, we the jury find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
You see the emotion in the courtroom when that verdict was read. We saw an emotional Kyle Rittenhouse earlier in the trial when he took the stand himself in his own defense. And he had those moments when he was describing when he was being challenged and faced with protesters at the time. But then we saw, as you mentioned,
I mean, they literally found him not guilty on everything, though.
That is the reaction you would expect from any defendant.
Yeah, very much so. And you know, one of the things that underlies all of this.
No, what did Tracy say? Listen, bottom line, this is a gun grab by the feds. They want to take out legal guns. Why? So we can't rebel against them, but they let them rebel against us. The FBI can charge Kyle Rittenhouse with civil rights violation. They can't retry him. His defense lawyer requested it to judge, and he agreed with it. Kyle will not be retried. I think if they would have found him guilty, the judge was going to grant that motion for dismissal. Because did he ever give them the answer to the motion?
No.
Exactly.
The verdict came in.
Exactly. He was holding it off to see if they would have found him guilty. Then he would have granted the mistrial.
That impacted things certainly, but I think that helped keep.
He's considered a serial killer. He's the first serial killer that got convicted on no charges for the first time. I've never heard of a serial killer getting no criminal charges. He killed a child molester. He should get
Jacob Blake, which was a highly charged case between police and, you know, a suspect at the time, an alleged suspect at the time.
And that's Julie. You
Kells was
about that on television.
Of lies, exactly.
This jury, that was not
oh my God, they want gun control.
This is right here what I'm telling y'all. I'm telling you, people not paying attention to what's happening. They changed the rules. They changing the laws. Everybody don't see how the laws being changed. You see what I'm saying? They written the law. The law states this right here, but it only holds accountable for black people. Everybody want to get mad at Nita Alvarez all of a sudden. Now she laid back. See, it was just like with this boy who laid back just killed 3 people recently. You hear me? I said, shooting at the police or something. And she laid back. She said, well, I can't charge them. You know what I'm saying? And they get, they just killed up each other just recently. You hear me? You remember that in Chicago? The people laid back, come to the people's house, shot, somebody got killed. And she said, I can't charge nobody with that right there.
With those concerns. And there's other things. Remember, the prosecutor made
that's why I said, when they get through.
I know you have some legal background. Please look at it from that point of view. The left would use this case to change gun laws and take our legal guns. You're right. I see what you're saying, though.
Are outside and beyond the discussion of what those jurors had to do. Now, if any of these jurors decide to give an interview, and that's certainly up to them.
The judge said that
Where's
they
it
absolutely could.
I remember our office also did the Casey Anthony case, and after that, the judge said, if you want to talk to the media, here's where you do it, when you do it.
I thought I was
like
stuck.
3 jurors showed up to talk to the media. No other jurors wanted to talk. But the option is whether these jurors, a few of them, will give us the insight as to how things are. I'm sure somebody will.
I'd like to loop Joe back into this conversation. And Joe, we're talking about this being a race case or a race case of a different sort. It does come down to a juror's life experiences in many cases. Baby. And Paul, just so laid out, the jury instructions are so complicated, difficult to understand in a language that a layperson who didn't go to law school probably doesn't speak. What are your thoughts about the life experiences and how lawyers handle that, knowing that they're going to draw on what they know and where they come from to come to a decision?
You did.
Well, arguing to a jury and trying cases.
Let me see what the NFAC speak, brother. Exactly. Black people's better wake up. You're right. He was found not guilty because the jury believed his self-defense reason. That's it. Different from Jeffrey Dahmer. All the serial killers in the world, he's no different. The judicial system ain't nothing. Yes, you are right, sir. They're trying to change the laws. This was a serial killing, not even close. Exactly for black people only, not even. Okay. Brother, you're right. They will change the laws. If you block, you don't see this summer's wrong.
the jury
with you,
judgment of one of their fellow
you got
citizens.
two problems if you don't
And
see the
in
injustice
this
against
case, you
blacks
are
right in the
exactly
court
correct.
system. You need your head
Everyone involved,
examined. Look at
were
Australia.
Caucasian.
They gave up
There
their
was no
guns to
racial
the
issues
government, and
involved
now
in
they can't do
motivation. The
nothing to
actual
defend
crimes
themselves. We are in
charged
big
here,
trouble.
and that the jury
White or black
decided.
folks, it's against them
So in
now.
that sense,
Them bringing
there is no
government.
race
Can
involved.
you
But I think what
break
you're going
what
to
he
see,
said
what you are
down
seeing
again?
and have seen,
Serial killing
that
is
this is
premeditated,
really
serious.
an indictment
They
in
follow
some people's minds
characteristics
of the
of
criminal justice
privilege
system, and that there are
shall
two
be able.
systems.
So they are
And that
trying to
Kyle
change the
Rittenhouse
laws
has
on
been
us.
a
This is a
17-year-old
serial
African
killing.
American male
Yes,
doing the
man.
same thing,
No different
protecting
from a serial
property,
killer,
having a
a
medical
serial
kit with
rapist.
him. Some people would say, and I think it's reasonable to say, that he wouldn't have been treated the same way and allowed to walk the streets and not arrested or any interaction with law enforcement out there. So I think that's going to be the, not the legal argument of what happened in this case, but the societal and the really criminal justice system argument
No different from
and
a
problems
Dennis, I
that are
just
going on in our
defend
society
serial
right
killing.
now.
And we've already
Ryan,
heard from
please
Justin
stop.
Blake, who is Jacob Blake's uncle, and he is not pleased with today's verdict and suggesting all those things that you really just stated to Joe. We're waiting for more reaction outside of the courthouse, and we are expecting to hear from Kyle Rittenhouse's attorneys anytime now. And again, he is walking out a free man for being acquitted on these 5 felony charges that we've been talking about for well over a year now.
And by the way, from the political perspective, we have to see what happens, and this is outside this case. Yeah. What happens now to the laws in various states? Those are the kind of reactions you see. You know, my guess is here. I don't know if there's going to be riots. My sense is it'll be more a peaceful protest, the kind of thing I think that it was Julian or yeah, I would think, but also because of the way this came out, I think that had he been found guilty, that might have been a different response. We'll see what happens, but I think now it's what will states do? Will states take a step to change? In Wisconsin, change some of the laws involved here.
Exactly.
So
I mean, he did. He walked right past
some of the sociological implications as time goes on in various states.
When it comes to security, we should mention that the governor of Wisconsin has ordered 500 National Guard members to be on standby. And
500 National Guards.
And not knowing what it would bring or will bring as we move into the night. It is a Friday. It is cold. It is wintertime. And they are watching all those factors. Strange as it may
this
sound,
was a strategic move to have that verdict come in today on a Friday.
Of course, everyone really
he did murder them. What are you talking about? Maka
police officers were told, you know what, you're not going to have your
Maka Mus.
The city
he did murder them
and needed to be on standby.
That was straight murder.
And I imagine in time,
I'll say it again. Kyle trial is a distraction.
We got a statement from President Biden. If we got statements
her trial is going on now too. Have we heard a piece? No, because big money people is involved. Justice was not served, Chris. We have all of the audio and video. 8,000 quality. Isn't that it was not self-defense. He's a murderer.
If you want to make change,
he's a murderer.
In the law.
So again, in the hope
it's not murder when you are defending. That's murder. He wasn't. You don't defend yourself with a gun when somebody don't have a gun. You go toe to toe. If he got beat up, he just got beat up. It wasn't no shooting ever should have occurred. That dude is a murderer. He killed 2 people and wounded a 3rd.
Well, to me,
he's a murderer. Straight up murderer.
Things move along a little more quickly, right?
You have a blessed day too, Chris. Thanks for coming over. Appreciate your dialogue over here. But he's guilty. He's gonna always be guilty.
Probably he should do. But the point is, there was no rush. They could have gone home, come back on Monday. I think that while the decision may have been made a little bit earlier than after lunch today,
ain't nothing funny.
Thought through it at lunch, or actually
praise the Lord, Chris. You so sarcastic. Get your butt out of here, Chris. But don't nobody block him. Let him do what he do. Have a blessed day, Chris. We're gonna pray for you. This little bastard got off real good. The judge was corrupt, and the damn jury is so wrong. Only in America, where underage white boys can commit premeditated murder and get off the longer they delayed the verdict, he was gonna walk free. Yeah, you're right about that though, young black. I agree. That is very, very true. And Charlotte Miles, you're right as well. Talk about race batting and focus.
Man, wondering about the reaction of the city of Kenosha, and we've just seen cars coming through here. It's like a traffic jam from time to time. Many people honking their horns.
Look at the media out there.
What's
Crazy.
happening out here. You know, this
Ooh,
entire ordeal, you know, dating back to 2020 and August. Dealing So, you know, just watching him in the courtroom, that incredibly emotional testimony when he took the stand, it has been a spectacle.
If he was black, he would have been convicted the moment the trial started. Exactly. He would have been convicted in the public. He wouldn't even made it to trial. He would have been so convicted. If you don't have a gun, you shouldn't try to take someone else's life. That's how you get shot.
Because we're waiting to hear from Kyle Rittenhouse, perhaps, but he's anytime now. What happens to the gentleman, the young man who is now 18 and an Illinois resident?
He's 18 and he's in Illinois.
After he has just been acquitted.
Yeah, what's going to happen next?
In Wisconsin.
So this is a bit of a speculation game, obviously. Obviously, he'll take some time to just stay quiet. We may not see him for a while. But I was intrigued by the fact that I think it was yesterday, Congressman Matt Gaetz from Florida said, you know, we probably ought to offer or will offer Kyle Rittenhouse, I think, an internship or a job on Capitol Hill. There's lots to do. Your reaction to that can be whatever you want to be. But what it said to me was that Kyle Rittenhouse is about to become a political figure, not even of his own making necessarily, but I think he now becomes a focus, if not a spokesperson himself, for various rights. It won't happen tomorrow, but in time, I think you're going to see certainly the right and Republicans and pro-gun people work with him, use him. I think you have not seen the last of him in this case because of the very public nature of this.
So I'm curious about that because when you heard him testify and heard some of the things he was saying about how he was so needed up there and that he had been accepted to Arizona when the school said no, how dangerous is it to begin to use him as your spokesperson or your person to kind of hang your
reputation on, perhaps?
Right.
Well, that'll be up to the folks who use him for that. But the reason I said what I did, Dina, is because of what you're saying. The fact that here's a guy who lives in Illinois and decided that it was his role to go up and protect this dealership and all the things that he said. Again, we don't know what's true, what's not true. I mean, it's not testified. He was going up there because he had something to do and he was going to provide medical assistance and all
he was full of shit.
With no medical training.
With no medical training. I equate all of that to say this is somebody who wanted a public role. He was out there to do something. He's going to be whether that's vigilante, whatever word you want to use. I want to be careful. I don't want to trigger people to hear me one way or another. But this is not somebody who feels like he got dragged into this against his will and then found himself in court. This is somebody who put himself in this situation.
He sure did.
And so I don't think this is somebody who goes away quietly. I think he will.
I think he's going to surface again. I believe we definitely going to see more of him. The law is setting up rise as days go by, and we has keep praying for safety, blessings to our kids, grandkids, and family. Yes, this is why we got to fight like hell. This man act, you right. How dumb do you have to be trying to jump a kid holding a... Nobody was trying to jump him. They was trying to de-arm him from hurting anyone else, and unfortunately, another ended up getting killed. Jason, stop it. Jason, shame on you.
Because of the length of the deliberation. Typically, this result would come relatively quickly after the final argument, and the jury would have deliberated on this. My assumption is that this would have wrapped up within about 2 days. The fact that we got to Friday, day 4 of the deliberations, I believe that there was a real wrestling match between those jurors as to which counts they would find this young man.
But they ended up finding him not guilty.
Shocked when it was not guilty as to all 5 counts.
All
does that mean to you, who has been down this road?
justice was not served, Morning Star.
Is far too complicated, or the charges themselves in the state of Wisconsin, that if they didn't go to the lesser included, it was just too much.
You got a madman running in the streets. Joseph and the other gentleman was heroes because they tried to disarm him and lost their life. Well, the second guy lost his life trying to disarm him. He had that damn sling around him. That gun wasn't going nowhere. That's why he had the sling. Can you imagine if he didn't have the sling? He would have got stumped like he should have.
That one juror's request to take jury instructions home. I have never seen that happen. I have never seen that requested. I've never seen that granted. The idea of jury deliberations is that they deliberate together. And, one juror taking documents home to review was surprising to me.
Yes.
What it does indicate is the complexity of those jury instructions and the work.
What do you mean one was a child rapist, Treese?
Some conclusion here. I certainly am not taking a position, and I'm not.
I don't understand what you're saying.
They reached a result, as I said a couple days ago when I was on your network. Some people are going to be happy, and some people are going to be upset.
How you let the juries take jury instructions home? I ain't never heard that before. That's sickening.
Outside of that courthouse, we can only hope remains, relatively calm and without great incident. But
so Tony,
it does cause concern.
Tony, I'm curious. For the better part of the last hour, we've been talking to a former prosecutor who said that he thought the prosecution had a very difficult case. And yet you are saying, as a defense attorney, not necessarily looking at it saying the defense did a very good job here, you are saying you're surprised at the verdict.
Yes, I am surprised. I always believed that on the more serious counts, he would be found not guilty. I believe that because they would have had to prove a specific intent regarding his actions and the killing of the 2 gentlemen that were killed, as well as the attempted murder victim. However, I thought that the jury would have found on one of the reckless counts, because that involves a general intent. And because he came there with a gun, because he seemed to be searching for trouble, as it were, based on his movements on the video.
Right.
I believe that the jury would have found some compromise there.
Yes.
And have found him guilty on one of the reckless counts.
Right.
Again, the flip side of that is if they find him guilty on the specific counts and they bought self-defense, then why not find him not guilty of all of the counts? And that's maybe where they ended up.
That's what happened.
Do you think the defense did right then, or maybe the prosecution did wrong in this to say that, you really thought on some of those lesser charges he would have been found guilty? Do you think there was something that moved the needle there?
I thought the prosecution's case was convoluted, frankly, and I thought that throughout the trial. I've heard commentators comment on the closing argument, how strong that was. I agree with the closing argument, at least the second part of the closing argument.
They felt sorry for him.
I thought that was clear. I thought that was persuasive. I thought that the jousting with the defendant as he testified, trying to characterize him as this horrible kid, I thought was a bad move. I also
why is everyone mad? You're right, love is beautiful. It is. The judge ain't nothing right. Jason, go to sleep in the afternoon. Get you some rest, Jason Taylor.
We'll never know, but and this is not appealable. So they will not be in appellate court reviewing the actions of this judge. But I think that his actions were peculiar in this case.
It was very.
I thought that he gave an advantage that I can only hope for my clients.
Right.
During the jury process.
Exactly.
Sort of direct statements as well as implications, including allowing the young man to handpick those jurors who would sit and deliberate. In this
yeah, that was strange.
Viewers into this, we're talking about the raffle. There are 18 jurors who heard this.
He let him pick his own jurors.
But
through a
in the
raffle.
end, it comes down to just 12. And the way the judge handled that, which is something we don't typically see in Illinois.
I've
what we
never
saw
seen
in
nothing like
Kenosha,
that in my
was a
life.
raffle. It literally was.
It was a raffle.
A bingo ball type of drum.
Yep.
And the judge had the defendant himself pull out the numbers for the 12 jurors that would actually decide this case. What are your thoughts about that process as it played out? Fair? More fair than you ever could have imagined? Or goofy?
It was goofy.
One of the things that we do as lawyers is we attempt to convince the jury.
You're right, Deja. He got to sleep at night knowing he killed 2 people.
There is a connection that we're trying to reach with those people who will ultimately decide the fate of our client. When you don't,
He said that's a judge that he would have wanted to have. It was working in the dude's favor. Even the judge did everything to make it work in his favor. I'm mad because the media is hiding so much and everybody is faking for it. Go watch it to start to finish. No interruptions. I've heard a lot.
We will be deliberating the case at the beginning of your trial once you selected a jury. So I think that was very peculiar.
Right.
I understand that is a Wisconsin process. It is not unique to that courtroom, although it was unique that the defendant himself was allowed to pick those names from this ball.
That was very unique.
The state of Michigan has a similar sort of process whereby they weed down a jury to those who will deliberate.
They failed those families.
I find that to be peculiar. But I think in this case, I think the authority that this young man may have been presumed to have had by the actual action of sticking his hand in that barrel and picking out those names.
Yes.
As if he had hand-selected each of those jurors.
Yes.
Now, I'll be clear, I am not sure if the jurors were in the room when this selection was taking place. I believe that they were.
They was.
But I think that is extremely peculiar, and I don't know, I believe it had some impact, I believe, on the outcome of this case.
Okay, Tony, many thanks for joining us. Stay on the line if you don't mind. There's still a lot developing outside of the courthouse. Our camera just taking live shots out there of the crowd that has gathered. Again, relatively calm at this hour. And that verdict reading was more than an hour ago now. So this is good news. We hope
sure do, Barbara.
Things remain calm outside. We do want to get to Julian Cruz, who's been outside the courthouse since that verdict reading and has been inside the courtroom every day of this trial. Julian is speaking with a local pastor there. Julian.
Well, guys, we were talking about, analyzing what happened in this courtroom during this trial, but there are many people in this community who are already starting to look ahead. Reverend Dr. Monica Cummings joins us now, and she's here with some members of her community, the Bradford Community Church. And so how do we go forward from this point? I mean, the community's divided. This has been a really tough year and a half for everybody. How do we begin to heal?
That's a really, really, really good question. Love. I'm not only the assistant minister at Bradford Community Church Unitarian Universalist, I'm also a member of the
Exactly. Why is it about money?
Which is a part of CUSH, Congregations United to Serve Humanity. And the way forward is to help the community to heal and
Ashley, are you serious?
Whether it's religious leaders organizing
I know you're joking.
Events, whether it's partnering with other organizations here in Kenosha to put on events for the community to come together. The healing's going to happen one day at a time, and it's going to happen.
Who is this damn lady?
Just respecting one another and acting out of love.
And tell me a little bit about waiting to hear that verdict and the community on edge. There was a lot of tension here. Is it your hope that despite the pain and despite everything that has happened, that people can come together?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the first step of that is for folks who are not from Kenosha, if they have any intentions other than helping us to heal and support us as a community, I kindly invite them to go home. Because we don't need that. We've been through enough with the media descends on us, outside agitators have come here. And what we need is to be alone as a family, as a community, so we can begin the healing process without a lot of the animosity. Because that's who we are. We're a small town. You know, we speak to each other on the street, and that'll be part of the healing process, to start seeing one another again, you know, to start engaging with one another again without all the agitation and noise.
The Reverend Dr. Monica Cummings, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. Very nice to meet you. So, you know, even as we were talking to Dr. Cummings, and you, I don't know if you can hear a lot of emotion here. People, obviously, the people who, I guess you would call them anti-Kyle Rittenhouse, very upset, obviously, about this verdict. It's going to be a tall order. It's going to be difficult for this community to pull themselves together. But you heard Dr. Cummings expressing some optimism that the people can come together and move beyond this. But right now, this is a very painful, very emotional day. It's going to take a while to get over this. Back to you guys.
Before we let you go, Julian, I did want to ask you, we're looking at a shot from up above at this crowd below. How do you feel security on the ground? You know, the governor had called out the National Guard. Do you feel that presence from the Guard in the area? And what's playing out? Paint us a picture from the scene.
You know, the Kenosha County Sheriff, they have a heavy presence here, squad cars. There's a lot of personnel on the street here.
Let me see. I seen the drone while he was in court, and it showed he chased him down.
Right
I know
now,
what I
there
saw.
appears to be some sort of an incident here. The sheriff's deputies trying to control this situation. So it remains to be seen, you know, whether or not there is enough security here, whether those National Guardsmen will make a more visible presence here in downtown Kenosha. I mean, so far, I mean, I look around, we have not seen them. So, you know, it was strange that right after the verdict was read, and there was a very emotional reaction, but then there was a sense of calm as people talked. But now,
rioting tonight. It's not safe.
Temper
Definitely not.
It's going to take a while for things to settle down. So
it's not worth it. Because
it will let you know if we
in
do
that
see any
state,
National Guardsmen in the area.
he's
But right
letting
now,
the civilians
National Guardsmen
that
were put in place
be
by everybody Evers. They're not making a visible presence here right now.
Julian, we know that
law
there are
enforcement
people on both sides. Are they physically in the same area, or were they separated as they were kind of making their voices heard?
You know, I think the groups kind of split up, you know, taking different spots here on the front steps of the courthouse. But there were confrontations, you know, verbal confrontations. Sometimes they became physical. People did at times clash over all of the issues that are involved in this whole case. You know, the incident in 2020 and then the trial itself. So it's a situation now where people are wondering, you know, what happens next here. But certainly, it is a tense situation. It remains tense here.
But they released him. He killed he killed his own kind of people though. It's not like he killed nobody black. He killed his own. But he killed those white boys because they was fighting as Black Lives Matter members. So it's like a message was sent, and we can't miss the message.
Defendant takes the stand, right? They tend not to do it. Rob Blagojevich did it, and he went away for 14 years. This is different because the stakes are higher, and it was self-defense. And just Ahmaud Arbery, one of the defendants, took the stand. And I'm guessing in that case, the defendant said, I want to take the stand, as opposed to the lawyers wanting to put him on. I'm guessing in the Rittenhouse case, it may have been Rittenhouse and his lawyers that worked together to say, yes, you're young, let the jurors hear from you, they need to hear from you, they want to hear from you. And I think the results show that it did work. I do want to, when you talk about the case itself, I can mention something else that kind of got lost in all of this. Remember that the defense made a couple of motions to dismiss this
and
case.
they never responded.
Or without prejudice, but they made it with prejudice, meaning that the judge could have said this case is over and you cannot try it again.
Right.
Ordinarily, a judge would have ruled on that before the jury was deliberating.
But he did.
The legal, effect of that. This judge never did.
He sure did.
Keeping it in his back pocket, such that when
if they would have came back with guilty,
on my part. But if the jury came back and said guilty on something,
then the judge would have threw that goddamn case out.
at that time would have ruled on the motion to dismiss,
Yep.
and given what we've seen behaviorally from this judge,
he would have
I
walked.
would put my money, if I was a betting person, I would have put it on this judge granting the motion to dismiss the case.
Did not say that.
With prejudice, but I think he would have granted the motion to dismiss.
And
I said
very
that too.
Defensive about that when we had been reporting that this motion was there for several days and he had not ruled on it.
He didn't rule on it on purpose. He wanted to see what that jury was gonna do. If that jury would have convicted that nigga, they was gonna come back and overturn it.
Texting with one of our favorite reporters on this, Eric Rung, and we raised the point.
What's up, Big Vi?
Well, yeah, this is over. But you know, do the families of the deceased
Esther,
here,
I told you to go take a nap. It's your bedtime. You're bound to your room, Esther.
In the civil case. Now, I don't know that Kyle Rittenhouse has any money. I'm going to guess he doesn't. But if you are the family members, survivors of the victims in this case, are you suing?
Yeah, you can say that, Tracy. I disagree because you could protect, but to a degree. You don't go in the streets protecting the streets. You protect the property if that's what he was really there to do, protect the property. He put himself in danger, in harm's way, and he was very intimidating with that damn gun. So I agree to disagree with you. If you're not a law authority, let the law do what the law's supposed to do. He took the law into his hands. He killed 2 people. He injured a 3rd, and this idiot walked, as we can see. But you know what? It's set up this way because they want Black Lives Matter to go out here, protest, and start up some more mess so it can happen all over again. And there can be another Kyle on trial. So it's this way it's set up. They want a riot. They're trying to ignite a war amongst the civilians in America against each other. This government is trying to turn one against the other. They are allowing the laws in Wisconsin to allow them to walk freely around with their guns. That right there is an issue. So I'm just saying, this was a wrongful, not guilty verdict. He should have been found guilty. He was reckless. He was underage. He shouldn't have been there. If he was going to be there, that's fine. He had his privilege to be there. But you cross state lines to go over that to that state. To portray yourself as something that you was not. You was not law enforcement. You was not medic. You was not a firefighter. That's fine that you tried to do some civil duties, but it was at the disposal of those 2 gentlemen that lost their lives, as well as the man who lost his arm. This was not a just verdict. And in America, it looks like you can't win for losing. Kyle is definitely a murderer. It was like 20 minutes. I don't know what you're saying, Astor. I told you to go to sleep. The AR boogeyman. Astor, you're gonna get a whooping at the end of this live, okay? He's trained because he graduated. Graduated from what? He was self-trained, self-taught. He wasn't even a freaking cadet.
And again, I only hypothesize about.
They weren't trying to jump him. They was gonna jump him. Trust me, they could have attacked him. He only had 30 rounds. I guess he was gonna kill 30 people and then say self-defense too. He was a serial killer that night, playing Kyle of Duty, not Call of Duty, but Kyle of Duty.
Just heard a case this month, and we'll get a ruling on probably in June, in which the question is: do people have a right to carry a gun outside their home without having to justify it, which is what New York required in the Supreme Court case?
They need to change that. You have to be able to justify why do you have this gun out here. That's crazy.
Expansion Joe was talking about that I mentioned before. Get ready for that in probably 25 states.
When you talk about perhaps the changes that may come,
if they don't make a change, this can happen over and over and over again.
This particular gun, because of the charge that was dropped. And one of the lawyers had said before, Joe, it may have been you, who said if he had brought brass knuckles.
He didn't have no money, sister. The people had the money and paid his ass out of jail. His not guilty was paid off. They paid them people off.
And I believe his ruling was based on the fact that the judge said the law is ambiguous and it's confusing, so we're not going to hold him to that. And or the prosecutors also did at some point acknowledge Yes, the barrel was not, I think it was 16 inches or whatever the length was. It didn't meet that standard, but the law itself was confusing to the judge. So I suppose that's one reason the judge may have said, look, I'm just going to drop this because who knows what the legislature intended, and clarification may be needed.
Do you think from the jury perspective that was a strike against the prosecution because they thought maybe they were trying to push something through that they had known should not have been, or was that a nuance that?
Yes, but for a different reason.
Okay.
I think it hurt the prosecution.
Look at how they speak. Only they can talk this way about each other.
Let's go out to Kenosha because Kyle Rittenhouse's defense attorneys are speaking right now.
Somebody just passed out.
Put in an incredible amount of effort. There were times we doubted the case. There were times we were confident. And to say that we were relieved would be a gross misunderstatement. And Kyle is not here. He's on his way home. He wants to get on with his life. He has a huge sense of relief for what the jury did to him today.
Yes, Karen, I heard he was open to hiring
none
him.
of this would have ever happened. But as he said when he testified, he did not start this.
He gonna do it again. I believe he will.
We're thankful in more ways than one that the jury finally got to hear the true story. And when I say the media, I'm talking about social media and things like that. The story that came out from the beginning was not the true story. And that was something that we had to work to overcome in court. And we think we did that.
What you mean you think you did do that and this nigga just walked? Ain't no thinking.
Instill more confidence, or was that instilling a little bit of work?
No doubt. I never predict how long a jury's going to be out, but it was the longest jury deliberation I've ever been a part of. I had an 18-hour and a 17-hour, and one was a federal and one was a state case. It was torture. And this might sound like a small thing, but the judge wanted us to be within 10 minutes. Obviously, my office isn't within 10 minutes, so we had to sit in that room on the 3rd floor, and it was hell.
What did you think about the decision to put Kyle on the stand? Was that a close call for you? Do you think that made a difference in the case?
You want the truth?
Yeah.
Had to put him on. There wasn't a close call. At certain points, we wondered whether we would put him on. We did.
This world is wicked.
We had a mock jury.
We gotta pray.
And we did 2 different juries, one with him testifying, one without him testifying. It was substantially better when he testified, I mean, to a marked degree, and that sealed it. But in Wisconsin, if you don't put a client on the stand, you're going to lose, period. There were a lot. I mean, I think it's at the beginning, but when Attorney Binger gave his opening statement and said those things that Kyle chased Rosenbaum down.
You're right about that,
where
young
they
black.
came from to this day, it was ridiculous. And that gave me something to really show and argue to a jury that this isn't fair. It's not a game, and I think that was huge. Corey, my co-counsel, and I stress the word co-counsel, he was not a second chair, was incredible. We fought over who got to cross-examine Gage Grosskreutz. He won, and he did a better job than I would have.
This case has gotten caught up in issues of racial justice, the Second Amendment, self-defense. What does Kyle, what does your team want this verdict to be remembered for, this case to be?
When I took this case, I was hired by the 2 first lawyers. I'm not going to use their names. They wanted to use Kyle for a cause and something that I think was inappropriate. And I don't represent causes, I represent clients. And the only thing that ended up mattering to me was whether he was found not guilty or not.
Is that what Kyle feels as well? Is that what Kyle wants, or does he?
I believe that's what he wanted. And I had, I told him when I first met him, when he was in custody, that if he was looking for somebody to go off on a crusade, I wasn't his lawyer.
Mark, what did you remember when you said, I caught you in between the court, you
I never talked to you.
That you're nervous, that you didn't know what the heck was going on in that jury room. Looking back on all that time waiting, nearly 27 hours to this afternoon, you kind of walked me through.
They want to riot.
I mean, I expected we kind of picked amongst ourselves.
I wouldn't budge on this one, y'all.
My associates in the building, and I had Tuesday at 4:30, so I was way wrong. Nobody had it going past Thursday, and there was talk today about whether they were going to deliberate on Saturday. I've never seen a jury, and I don't mean this as a slight to them, but they didn't have a lot of questions. We had no information that they ever fought.
White supremacists.
They were just working through the issues, and so it was the time that made me nervous. There wasn't any information coming out.
We submitted 5 questions over that whole time the unrest to rewatch the videos, beyond those 5 questions. Was that concerning or puzzling question for you?
I was afraid of a compromise.
Right, young black.
I know it's been reported that we asked for lesser includeds. We objected to all lesser includeds. Kyle was questioning on lesser includeds because he has to be, but that wasn't our wish. That wasn't Kyle's wish. And we, as time went on, were afraid that there would be some horse trading in the jury room. And that's what really concerned us. I was a prosecutor. Corey was a prosecutor. And I never went after somebody like they did. And when they put on the Kandiri brothers, knowing that
exactly, little Bobby, very much familiar. That's that Judge Don Anley vibe. I'm telling you.
I'm not gonna, it's not a game, and you're playing with an 18-year-old kid's life, and they were willing to put those guys on. Detective Howard and Detective Andranian had both interviewed them, and in their police reports said, "We know you're lying." I can't ask that question when they're on the witness stand of the detective because one witness can't comment on another. So they put them on. They knew they were lying, and that's garbage. And I'm thankful we're never going to have to litigate the issue regarding the drone video, but they kept saying,
yeah, she was definitely appointed by Obama.
We agreed to let it in because we saw the quality we were given and the jury couldn't see anything. And then they're saying, well, his first lawyer had it because it was on Tucker Carlson. John Pierce never had that video. We've talked to Fox News. We've talked to Tucker Carlson. The video for Carlson show started right when Rosenbaum.
It's a sad day in America.
It did not start with the part that
you let a 18-year-old walk for killing 2 people at the age of 17.
That garbage photo.
After I told you to go to bed.
Maybe you don't expect everything in a trial ever, and that program that they used and the expert from the crime.
You woke up on the wrong side of the bed, Aster.
On the company's blog, artificial intelligence enhancements are not to be used for forensic evidence. And they did it. And our research after it, it would have been the subject of a huge motion. We don't have to do it.
He wouldn't have been defending himself if he wouldn't have been out there with a gun. He wouldn't have had nothing to defend. He should have been out there like everybody else trying to peacefully protest.
I personally don't like people carrying AR-15s around. There was so much anger and so much fear in Kenosha on August 25th that people did arm themselves. And, we knew from the beginning that if you read that statute correctly, I know everybody thought I was crazy. If you read the statute correctly, he was legal in having that firearm. And obviously, once the evidence came in, the judge threw the charge. They threw the curfew. And those were things that the state wanted to, kind of hang their hat on so they could argue he couldn't be there, he couldn't own the gun.
Yeah, but he don't have, what do people starting a fire have to do with him killing folks? You don't kill somebody because they start a fire. You lock them up as an arsonist. Come on now. Aster, I told you go to bed. Exactly, Mara. He was definitely the purge.
If Mr. Grosswitz and some of the other people
exactly, Deja,
Kyle go to the police, there only was one individual dead. They referred to him, and I talked about it as an active shooter. Anybody
you are so right.
Look up the definition of an active shooter from the FBI, law enforcement. He didn't meet it, but the way that those words are so charged, that's what they used. They wanted to paint him as that. I wish nobody died. I wish I never met Kyle Rittenhouse. And I don't mean that because he was a bad client. I just mean because then this wouldn't have happened.
Whether or not he feels he had to do it, is he remorseful? Does he feel bad about it for those families?
I think he does. We've talked about it.
He doesn't.
Talk about whether the tears were genuine.
They was fake.
All I can say is when we prepared Kyle and we worked on his testimony, there were things we couldn't talk about in my office because it got too emotional and he couldn't handle it.
I did see the videos, Trees.
Counseling for PTSD.
I saw all the videos.
So
I went back and saw all the videos. I even saw the guy who was being protected by these people as he was filming it. I forget what his channel was called, but I watched every video.
But I know Kyle Rittenhouse and I know what he feels.
Where does he go?
Good morning, Darlene.
Has to get on with his life
Aster,
as best he can.
you better stop starting stuff in my chat, Aster.
Will come back to it.
But don't nobody block Aster. Leave Aster alone. Let him speak his freedom of speech over here.
He's had 24
Kenosha, Wisconsin is about to be on fire. There will never be a healing process in America. Sins in this country is racism and slavery. America has to pay for its sin and crimes against humanity.
How many death threats we've had. I was answering my phone on the way back from court in Kenosha.
Right, love is beautiful.
After the third death threat, I quit answering the phone.
Exactly, Deja. Man, wouldn't have had a chance.
He had as much business being there as any of the demonstrators or the rioters. That's all I can say. There's going to be people who will never agree with that statement, but if we all would just mind our own business a little bit,
peace to you as well, Trees. And God is definitely bigger.
Learn, but it could be. He was asked to be there. He wanted to help the community, and if that's the narrative that the state went with, he shouldn't have been there. He was asked to be there by Nick and Dominic, and the Kandiri brothers wanted security, and I'm not trying to blame anyone. I wish he'd never been separated from Ryan Balch, and we would
probably exactly.
I don't believe he does. I believe if he had to do it all over again, and you said,
Aster, shut up. He wasn't justified. He was going to deal with that.
If you're going to be a free man, he would say, I wouldn't go. But we can't undo time.
Aster, I'm gonna whoop you when this is over, right? We will meet.
And I'm not laughing.
I'm taking my belt off.
What I'm laughing at is a friend of mine who's a lawyer said and him and I had done a big case together 7-8 years ago, and he said, "Do you think this Rittenhouse is going to be bigger than that case?" And I said, I do. And he said, "Why do you say that?" And I said, "I've never had a case, and I don't think I ever will, where within 2 days or 3 days of one another, the president and the presidential candidate comment on it. And both of them had such different beliefs.
You're right, Darlene.
President Biden said some things that I think are so incorrect and untrue. He's not a white supremacist. I'm glad that he at least respects the jury verdict. And
exactly,
if
so
the
shouldn't
government had any information regarding his cell phone or anything, that he had been to any of those websites or been online doing that kind of stuff, it would have been introduced in evidence. It wasn't. We were the individuals who released his cell phone, which couldn't be cracked by the FBI because we had nothing to hide. No, I'm not doing reruns. What's that? I'm a criminal defense attorney. I don't do civil stuff.
Okay, Mara, I'm finna go my butt to bed. I'm tired. I can't even keep my eyes open.
Every case is different, and every case.
Tell everybody at the job I said thank you, Mara. You have a beautiful day, honey.
I learned I could wait 24 hours.
Aster got jokes. I can't even take you serious, Aster.
I expect there will be a fight over that. John Pierce is the person who posted the bond. All of that money was raised on behalf of Kyle. Lynn Wood and Fight Back say that they're entitled to it.
Yep, on to the Aubrey case. You're right, Darlene.
I'm using round numbers, but there was $500,000, I think, that came directly from Wendy Rittenhouse from money she had raised. So there's going to be a fight over that, and I'm just thankful that there will be a fight over that, because if he had lost, it wouldn't have mattered.
Okay, Darlene, same to you, love. Oh, shit. The United States.
Getting rid of the first two lawyers. And, that might be a smart alecky comment, but I mean that. And I got my best friend, Corey, to join, who I trust. And to be able to work with somebody who you don't have to check their work, you don't worry about what they're going to be doing, you give them a project and it's done as good or better as you do yourself, it's priceless.
There's been a lot of commentary on the prosecutor's performance in this case. What would you say being up there with them every day?
You must have got here a little bit late. I've known Tom Binger for a long time. I knew him when he was a civil lawyer. I'm disappointed with some of the things he did. And I've said,
what you talking about, Kyle? Who you talking to? I mean, Aster. I was talking about Kyle. Kyle is mad. He don't know what to do with his life right now. He may be happy, but he ain't happy.
You say that my client chased him down.
I know them fuckers in the Aubrey case better not walk.
Calling him an active shooter when he's not.
They're going to be sending another message, is what Zola thinks. Her prediction is that the Aubrey case, they're going to walk as well.
But a prosecutor is supposed to seek the truth. It's not about winning. And this case, and that's
Love is Beautiful, Jones and Aster. Y'all two, stop it. So now we see what gun control is all about. As long as white supremacists have them, it's okay. Right, Lil Bobby?
That's not to pick on you guys or anything like that, but I've tried cases as a prosecutor 100 years ago in front of Judge Schrader. I've tried cases as a defense lawyer, and him and I butted heads as a defense lawyer. Judge Schrader gives you a fair trial as a defendant. You don't want him to sentence your client, okay? But in this case, we were looking for a fair trial, and if we lost, we knew what was going to happen. So it wouldn't have mattered whether it was that judge or some other judge. He's getting life in prison. So I'd rather have a fair trial. I thought he gave us a fair trial. Everybody got all crazy about the Tumblr. Who cares? That has nothing to do with this. I mean, I've seen the Tumblr used before. I've seen clerks pull things out and suspicious things happen. Kyle pulled it out. And I'll be real honest, we had every juror scored on a sheet, and we were devastated when those 3 of the 6 jurors were separated from the panel, because we thought they were 3 of our strongest jurors, and Kyle pulled their names. So I think it's a good system. You know, I've got a trial in front of him, you know, a big case, and maybe in that one I'll think he's unfair, but he's a fair judge.
He also said something about, like,
You're right, Darlene. The judge was on their side. Not at all about the gun control. Do you want to defend yourself if our government gets to this point of locking us down for real lockdown like what's happening around the world now? And I give up all legal guns ever.
You know, I think that I've never done a case that was televised gavel to gavel. I've had cases that have had media coverage. I was kind of, I knew this case was big. I had no idea it was going to be this big. I mean, I've gotten calls from people I haven't seen in 25 years. It's just bizarre. And
I want to give me an AR-15 and go to Wisconsin since it's so legal.
The interest that it did.
Are they going to question why am I walking down the streets with a gun?
Act different. I don't think it made the judge act different. I suspect when everything cools down, if there was another big case in front of Judge Schrader, he'd let the cameras in.
Mark, would Kyle say anything to
Love is not playing with Aster. Aster, would you stop antagonizing the supporters, please? The subscribers. Aster.
It's, you know, what, remain calm? You know, I don't know.
Exactly, little Bobby.
I don't think it's that kind of case. I mean, you know, when you want to talk about implications and precedent and things like that, is it ever going to happen again? You know, is there ever going to be just a total unrest in Kenosha or some other city, and that's going to happen? You know, I just don't see that. There was a case about self-defense, the right to protect oneself from, you know, Mr. Rosenbaum. Don't want to speak ill of the dead, but he wasn't a nice person, and everybody knows why. And a lot of that didn't come in front of the jury. So,
you know, I know, Deja.
I don't want to make it bigger than it is.
It's the color of my skin.
Maybe they should have watched the trial. Yeah.
I know Kyle Rittenhouse said thank you to you, said that October. Are you sharing more about general reaction from him or his family in that moment?
You know, it's one of those things.
Make sure you tune into my next live. I have a message for Jennifer Bongine.
It's kind of meaningless. We have to take it in, reflect on it, and
so make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell notification. Don't want to miss that live. That one is going to go down. Another one for the book.
Process what happened today. I haven't processed it. I don't think that I can't answer that question. If I had to guess, and it would be a guess, I don't think they'll stay in Wisconsin. I got a trial in a week. I'm going to take a couple of days off and go to the Badger game tomorrow.
Greasy, shut up. It's not a happy day. He should have been found guilty. He's guilty. He's a young murderer.
We were afraid we weren't going to get to go because they were going to deliberate on Saturday.
I'm going to try to get a lot of rest. I got some things I have to go out to do this evening with my daughter and my family, my husband. But just make sure y'all notifications are on. I got a serious message for Jennifer Bongine.
I don't believe that. I mean, there was.
Looks like the crowd is starting to disperse. They bum rushing somebody. I don't know who it is. I wonder what is going on.
The tenseness in most people, the jurors, at least I could have sensed it, who were entering that room, and. You know, if they wanted to quit early because I think they were tense. And
Me too, Darlene. I actually cut my cable off because I don't even watch TV anymore.
I don't think that was the case. I believe so. You know, I have
I understand Greasy, but he was the provocateur. He was the one who was antagonizing those people and intimidating them by having that damn gun and pointing it at people. You know, he wanted to shoot somebody, and unfortunately, Joseph just coming out the mental hospital. You know, it's almost like they set Joseph up to let him out that damn night. Joseph wouldn't have been there had he still been locked up.
As I said, it's the longest jury I've ever had out.
It led from one thing happening to the next.
Can I go home?
Kyle couldn't take a beat down. Kyle was scared to fight, fist to fist.
To Mark Richards, defense attorney for Kyle Rittenhouse. We've got a live picture right now outside the courthouse where crowds have begun to dissipate a bit. We do have
at all, Darlene. He would have been found guilty on something. They wouldn't have just let a black man walk like that.
Not guilty on all counts. Ben Bradley is now joining me on set here. We did
definitely screaming free Kels, free them all, and free Larry Hoover.
Read that now. It says, quote, "We respect the jury verdict based on 3.5 days of careful deliberations. Certainly, issues regarding the privilege of self-defense remain highly contentious in our current times. We ask that all members of the public accept the verdicts peacefully and not resort to violence." And that is certainly a good call right now, and one that it appears people outside the courtroom, at least for now, are following.
You heard in that press conference just a sense of how there is no love lost between the defense attorney and the prosecutor, two men who work together. Keep in mind, while this story has gained national attention, the Kenosha County legal community is pretty small. You saw the district attorney there presenting the case. The jury pulled from Kenosha County. Looking at this case certainly differently than folks in other parts.
He shouldn't have had a gun to a fist fight. He should have. If somebody was trying to attack him, you don't go shooting. It wasn't like he was gonna kill him with his hands. He was a coward. He was a punk. He was 17 years old. He was a damn kid. He had no business ass out there. He should have stayed home. Especially if you gotta go take a gun to a damn protest.
You know, easy answers: good versus bad, white versus black, positive versus negative. But they don't always work out that way, do they? Jacob Blake, he had a knife when he interacted with that police officer. Kyle Rittenhouse wasn't supposed to have.
You don't know who started the fist fight.
Kenosha, Wisconsin. A lot of what ifs there.
Definitely.
As we get to this day where Kyle Rittenhouse is acquitted.
We've got two experts with us, a former prosecutor.
Nobody was trying to fight a kid with a gun. He just couldn't. He was just trigger happy and was waiting to pull the trigger, and that's what he did. He shot and killed two unarmed men and shot the arm off of a third. He was playing Kyle of Duty.
Such a way on either side of this, but not really what he calls.
Your eyes are playing tricks on you, Astor.
Sam, perhaps you first. What is it about trying cases now, well, actually you defending them, and how is it difficult because of social media?
Well, one of the things that is an issue when it comes to juries is what the juries believe ahead of time. What was on Instagram? What video have they seen? And even during the trial, I've actually had experiences where jurors were...
Exactly, Darlene. Nobody else. Even when the dude that did get killed, Joseph Baum, he got into those people's faces at the gas station. They all were armed with guns. They just knew how to handle the situation. Kyle didn't know how to handle the situation, and he shot and killed because he was scared with a gun. And his whole reaction was to shoot his way out of a scary situation. Shouldn't have been there with it. He's a poodle, he's a punk, and he's a coward.
Experience that the judge has said shouldn't come in. And so that has been an issue because of the internet.
Astor, go to bed, Astor. Astor, I told you to go to sleep. You're talking out the side of your neck now. You can't defend Kyle. Kyle's guilty. He will always be guilty. And the public's eye, for those who see he's guilty. And for you being a pro Kyle, that's your personal belief. He's guilty in my eyes.
Defense of all cases, and I think that was a smart move on their part. And I think it probably confirmed in their mind
what logic
they knew, and was that their client had to hit the stand and had to testify. And I think that it was not as risky as some people say it is. because of the fact that
you right, Deja. You're gonna look old as hell.
Who would present well in front of the jury, he had no criminal background, and more importantly, he really needs to get in front of this jury and tell them what was going through his mind at the time that he was faced with the interactions with the 5 people that he engaged with. So I'm sure that the jury consultants and the mock juries helped them reach that conclusion. But after hearing defense counsel's comments, I'm sure in his mind from the get-go, he knew that his client had to go on the stand and tell the jury what was going on.
And Joe, the prosecutor really hammered him in the questioning. Is that an approach that you would have taken, and do you think that that may have maybe drawn some criticism?
He fell on the ground. He should have carried his balance better. That's his loss. But instead of taking the L, he went ahead and committed murder. He's a murderer. Say what you want.
Because he was not a seasoned person who testified before. But you certainly want to let the jury know that he's given inconsistent statements, that he certainly said other things that he said in front of the jury, and that he's also said things that maybe aren't 100% true. The fact that he is a student at college, or that he was a trained medic. So every trial attorney has their own way of doing it.
He fell. He wasn't going to get attacked. They was trying to disarm that man. He was running down the street after people yelled he killed somebody up the street. They wasn't trying to kill that dude. The dude that had the 9 Glock millimeter, he could have shot him from a distance if that's the case. He wasn't trying to shoot him. He wasn't trying to attack him. They was trying to disarm him. He's a murderer. There's no way you could justify that. His action speaks that he's a murderer.
President Biden was asked by reporters as he returned to the White House for his reaction to this verdict. He said, quote, "I stand by what the jury has to say.
Because his mother took him
there. The
there.
system works, and we have to abide by
They
it."
say the system works when it's in their favor.
I've been in courtrooms with you, and I can tell you your courtroom personality is a lot different from Joe Roddy's.
He definitely wasn't a man.
You do get up in people's faces. You do take it.
Nobody wasn't attacking him.
Like somebody is on the stand.
They was trying to disarm him. Knock his ass the fuck out. Not kill him. Knock him the fuck out.
Play out there with Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand.
I'm trying to grab his damn gun.
In the end, it's what saved his freedom.
Good night, Astor. I told you to go to sleep. You better be subscribed to my channel. I know that damn much. He didn't have a right to shoot an unarmed man. Astor, you're funny, but I like you. Make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the like button, Astor. I am so tired from last night, you guys. Yeah, it's 2:06 here.
Prosecution. This shit by the prosecution changed from Kyle was a murderer, he was a provoker, and it was a straight dynamic decision. Apparently, the jury didn't buy into that concept that there was provocation here, and so I'd really like to go back and watch some of this to see where that.
That's Sam Adams Jr. speaking, R. Kelly's old attorney.
Changed and went to provocation as opposed to sticking to his original gun.
Sam, I want to shift to the future here. Mark Richards mentioned that Kyle Rittenhouse, on his way home now, wants to get on with his life. You have had many high-profile cases, to say the least. And when you look at the after of this, the temptation to be more in the media as opposed to really getting on with your life, what would be your advice? And what is your speculation?
What's going on out there? Look. Look. Who they running up on? It's a circus out there.
As Mark Richards says, you have to process this. He needs to go back to Antioch and assess.
Exactly, Barbara. Exactly how you gonna feel. Superior now.
He has a bright future as far as he is concerned with who he wants to be. Is he going to learn from this? Is he going to take from this and say, "Today, walking around Kenosha where I have no business being with a gun is not the best thing. Can I talk to people? Can I go out here
be in 2050. Because the choices he makes now, as you see,
Kyle is a nigga.
are going to affect who he's supposed to be in the future.
They said the blacks is niggas. Kyle's a nigga. We not black. We not niggers.
Had to admit, he didn't
The
think
white
that he
folks is
regretted
real
going to
niggas.
Kenosha, even after all of this that happened.
Well, his attorney said
They
that
are.
he
It's
didn't
sad.
regret the reasons he went, but knowing now what he, if he and what he now about how it would impact the next year of his life, maybe he would have made another choice. But you're right, Dina. It was interesting. There was a little bit of an equivocation.
Now
there.
they about to be fighting over
Kyle
the money that they
Rittenhouse,
raised. Though.
escapes criminal responsibility. The reality is he could still face civil trial over the 2 deaths and the injuring of the 3rd person there in Kenosha, Wisconsin.
And the
fact,
feds should
Anthony
be picking up
Huber,
the case.
Parents have already indicated they may be heading down that road, and that will affect what Kyle Rittenhouse is or isn't, or I should say should or shouldn't say publicly in the weeks and months to come, Joe Roddy.
No, you're right, Ben. Obviously, anything he says or does now that's captured on a video clip or a social media feed or anything potentially could be used against him in any kind of civil case if he went on the stand. With the civil case that was mentioned earlier, there might be a judgment entered against him, but how do you collect if he doesn't have any type of funds? But that might be not something that they're that concerned with. They just want to get out the fact that civilly he's been either found liable for the death of the other family members.
No, you can't be retried. Not once you found not guilty, you cannot retry him a second time. That's double jeopardy. They can't do it. But the feds can't pick up that gun charge, though.
In the bar, wearing the provocative T-shirt in the weeks and months that followed, he's obviously been a darling among some on the right who have helped raise money for his legal defense. People who his own lawyer indicated may have been more interested than using Kyle Rittenhouse as a cause as opposed to viewing him as a client.
It was a cause to raise money.
Is that directed to me, Ben?
It's directed to you or Sam Adam. Both of you, I know, are never shy.
Well, I'll leave my shyness and let Sam answer that question.
Well, we're looking live right now. We can just recap for folks just joining us now. This is the scene outside the Kenosha County Courthouse, not too far over the Illinois-Wisconsin border now. We're nearly 2 hours since Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted on
the
all
state
counts
can't retry him, but the feds can't pick up that gun charge if they really wanted to.
To be thinning slightly, but
the same way R. Kelly was acquitted and the feds came in and came with a charge against R. Kelly, the same way the feds can come in and get Kyle if they really want Kyle. I think they're going to monitor him. They're going to watch him closely and peep his activity. If he pissed off the government, then yeah, they will come with charges against Kyle if they want to. They can do whatever they want to do, as we've seen.
Talking for the last several hours about the jury, the length of time that they spent, the lack of questions. Sam, I'm interested in hearing from your perspective. Mark Richards, a criminal defense attorney in this case, said, at times it made him nervous, but there were very few questions from that jury except wanting that video.
There's nothing worse for a defense lawyer than when the jury goes out. I remember being asked to start staying in the middle of Lago's first trial when my father and I represented Governor Blagojevich, and they were out 17 days. And there wasn't a day I wasn't nervous. I didn't sleep. When you get no questions, you have no idea what's going on. You feel like it's the way forward. But no matter what we think about Mr. Rittenhouse, or whether or not we think he should have been found guilty or didn't, when you're the lawyer in a case, you've gotten to know that client. You see him as a person, not as a defendant. You see it. You know his family. He tells you his hopes, his dreams, his fears. You watch his family cry. And so I'm sure Mr. Richards got to know Mr. Rittenhouse very, very closely. And if you take it personally, if it doesn't come out the way that you want. And so I've been in that. I know Mr. Roddy's been in that a million times. It's the worst feeling in the world is when you think things aren't going your way and somebody's life is depending on you.
You would have, I take it, put Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand yourself?
In this case, and I said this a number of times, I've had a number of self-defense cases, and I believe in every single one of my self-defense cases, the defendant testified. And there's a reason for that. It's because unlike any other legal case, when it comes to self-defense, you're not looking at anything other than the moment in which the death was caused. If it's a stabbing, the moment the person was stabbed, you're looking at the moment the trigger was pulled. And what was in the mind of the defendant at that time? Did he have a reasonable
Yeah, it goes down to the state of mind.
because he felt his life was in danger or great bodily harm was coming? And so the only person that can answer that in 90% of the self-defense cases is the defendant himself. And so I thought, going through this and listening to the opening statement, they had to put Kyle on because he could explain what was going through his mind when the state board came in, what was going through his mind when the bag was thrown at him. And I think it was imperative that he testified because he's the only one that could tell us what was in his mind at that time.
Joe Roddy, was it a mistake that the prosecution didn't more closely tailor their case to the victim who had to the victim who was unarmed, Joseph Rosenbaum? To make it clear that Kyle Rittenhouse was not only outgunned, was not only gunned up, but was involved in a provocation with somebody who was unarmed, as opposed to the others.
Right.
I do think they could have spent more time and more emphasis focusing on the reckless homicide charge involving Rosenbaum and really drawing the distinctions between use your common sense. Although this person has made allegedly some crazy statements and has run around along with other people who were out in the streets.
He really was, Love.
What he alleged to have had in his hand, and not only
he was definitely looking for trouble, and he found it, and he walked for it. It's sad. I just gotta pray for our system, man. It's just not designed fairly. Can't even imagine what those jurors was thinking.
We're not trying to convict him of intentional first-degree homicide. For the Joseph Rosenbaum, he was charged with first-degree reckless homicide. And I think you really would have wanted them to hammer on the point that this is clearly a reckless act, and you cannot compare a plastic bag with an AR-15
at all. But at the time after that, the video shows Rittenhouse go hide behind a car, so it would suggest that perhaps he wasn't positive that it was a plastic bag and may have interpreted it as something else.
Bullcrap.
That may be true, but I think you would counter that. Well, then if you stopped him and you subdued whatever threat was in your mind.
He didn't need to walk him down. He walked him down with that shotgun.
But there were three
he could have shot him once.
That you put into his body at that point in
right.
time. And then you would focus on and continue to hammer to the jury. Let's look at his action after this.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything to render any aid. He didn't do anything to turn himself in at that point in time. He did absolutely nothing. He just continued to run around with the military assault rifle and get into confrontations with other people.
Yep.
It resulted in the death of one and the injury of another.
Yep.
So it sounds like you're saying that was a big mistake on the part of the prosecution. Any other fatal mistakes?
They dropped the ball.
It's so easy for us to, Monday morning quarterback. I want to say it's fatal that the prosecution is going to do whatever they can with the facts that are given to them. They can't pick and choose who their witnesses are. They can't pick and choose what the facts are. Again, I mentioned earlier, the only other thing I thought that they could have focused more on, and I think they did a real nice job in their closing argument, is they could have focused a little bit more on the complexity of the instructions and actually try to break them down into, understandable language of how to explain something to someone. That's the only area that I thought they could have done better on in their closing arguments, because as we said before, they can't pick and choose their witnesses or the facts. It's given to them, and you have to deal with it as best you can. And this was a very tough case and a close case.
Jurors believing that Kyle Rittenhouse feared for his own safety and
you guys, we've heard it all here. Thank you guys for tuning in to this live. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Make sure if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing other content over here, and I'll see you guys real soon on the next one as we put together pieces of the puzzle, one piece at a time.
In fact, it looks to be thinning just a little bit.